how the F-35 clearly outperformed its Swedish rival in terms of military capabilities during the competition held by Canada in 2021.
What if one fighter jet failed Canada's evaluation so badly that the outcome was never really close? For years, the public debate made it sound like the decision came down to politics, pressure, or jobs. Headlines suggested Canada was torn and undecided. Behind the scenes, the evaluation teams were running hard numbers on combat performance, data sharing, survivability, and long-term operations. Some aircraft struggled to meet core requirements that had nothing to do with price or diplomacy. By the time scoring was complete, the gap was already clear. Keep watching as we uncover why the F-35 was the clear winner over the Gripen in Canada's fighter evaluation. Canada and Sweden have been moving closer across defence, trade, science, climate, and energy. And this year that movement took a sharper form. A royal visit put a public face on the relationship, while a fighter jet dispute gave it weight. King Carl Gustaf spoke at RTO Hall about cooperation between the two countries, but his visit unfolded alongside a very real debate in Ottawa. Saab, Sweden's defence company, has been pressing Canada to consider the Gripen fighter for the Royal Canadian Air Force. At the same time, Canada already committed to buying 88 F-35s to replace its ageing CF-18 fleet, a decision finalised in 2023 and still listed as the official plan. Two arguments now run side by side. One is military. Which aircraft best fits Canada's needs in the Arctic, across its vast territory, and in joint missions with allies? The other is economic and political. How much weight should be given to jobs, domestic production, and local supply chains versus cost, logistics, and close alignment with the United States? These debates overlap. In March, Prime Minister Mark Carney ordered a formal review of the F-35 contract. Ottawa described it as a way to reassess options and to see whether more industrial work could be secured inside Canada. That review slowed the forward motion of the F-35 plan, at least in public view. Saab's proposal is the spark that made the issue feel immediate. The company has said it could create around 10,000 jobs in Canada through local assembly, manufacturing, research, and supply work if Ottawa chose Gripen. That figure carries political weight because it is easy to explain and easy to repeat. Critics have pushed back, asking how many of those jobs would be direct, how many would last, and how much of the work would truly stay in Canada instead of flowing back to Europe. The promise sounds appealing in meetings and headlines, but it requires close scrutiny before it can be treated as firm ground. Behind the debate sits the CF-18. It has served Canada for decades, but its service life is running out. Extensions have bought time, not a solution. The plan to buy 88 new fighters came from studies that tried to balance air defence at home, commitments to NORAD, and deployments with NATO partners. That number reflects staffing, training, basing, and long-term sustainment. Replacing the CF-18 is not just about buying aircraft. It reshapes budgets, personnel pipelines, maintenance systems, and alliances for years to come. The F-35 became the default choice for clear reasons. It is a fifth-generation aircraft with low observability, advanced sensors, and close integration with US and allied forces. Canada's early participation in the program already tied many Canadian companies into its supply chain. Widespread use among NATO members also means shared training, shared parts, and shared mission systems. Supporters argue that one aircraft type simplifies logistics and lowers costs over time by avoiding parallel training tracks and maintenance networks. Those savings show up in staffing levels, hangars, spare parts, and the digital systems modern fighters rely on. Gripen offers a different case. It is smaller and lighter, and newer variants carry sensors and weapons that some analysts see as well suited to northern patrol and air defence. Operating costs are often lower, and Saab's pitch focuses on local production and regional industry growth. There is also a strategic angle. Buying from a European supplier could spread risk and reduce dependence on a single partner. Saab presents Gripen as quick to service, efficient to run, and capable of both Arctic intercepts and allied missions. Its promise to invest in Canadian industry is designed to appeal to Ottawa's interest in building long-term aerospace capacity at home. The argument about industrial benefit has moved to the front of the debate. Industry Minister Melanie Joly has said openly that Canada did not get enough domestic work out of the F-35 arrangement, and that any foreign aircraft choice must deliver more jobs at home. That position lands well in politics. Ministers and MPs can point to factories, engineers, and smaller firms that gain or lose depending on the decision. Saying we will buy a plane is simple. Saying we will build work around it here is a promise voters can measure. But real jobs do not come from one assembly line alone. They depend on suppliers, steady demand, trained workers, and years of follow-on contracts. Without that chain, the promise stays thin. The review ordered by Prime Minister Carney served two purposes. On the military side, it asked a direct question about what Canada actually needs. A full F-35 fleet, a mixed fleet, or something else. On the political side, it told domestic industry that Ottawa was serious about getting more value and told allies that Canada was willing to look at options. Reviews like this shape the story around a decision. They are not just technical documents. They become the way a government explains cost, risk, and trade-offs. Life cycle costs, training needs, supply risk, and diplomatic ties all sit inside that frame. The review does not cancel the F-35. It buys time and gives room to manage a hard choice. Every sentence is scanned for signs of direction. Any comparison breaks down into capability, cost, and logistics. On capability, the F-35 offers stealth and sensors built for operating where defences are dense. Gripen offers reduced detectability in some setups and strong sensors for its class, but it is not a stealth aircraft of the same generation. That difference matters most for missions that push deep into defended airspace. For interception, Arctic patrols, and many routine tasks, Gripen can meet the need. Canada's geography matters here. Long distances, cold weather, and limited northern bases shape daily flying. Not every mission demands top-end stealth. Much of the public debate, though, leans towards status and cutting-edge labels, rather than routine requirements. On cost and sustainment, Gripen often comes out lower over time. It uses less fuel, allows easier access for maintenance, and was designed to be serviced with fewer resources. The F-35 carries advanced sensors and coatings that raise sustainment demands across its service life. Scale matters, however. The F-35 program has a wide industrial base and a global support system tied closely to the United States. That can lower some costs for countries deeply linked to US defence structures. For Canada, the trade-off is clear. Gripen may cost less per flight hour, but operating it alongside US forces can add expenses tied to integration. Separate training paths, duplicate systems, and parallel spare parts all add up. The final math becomes pages of assumptions about hours flown, deployments, bases, and years in service. Interoperability with the United States is more than convenience. It sits at the core of strategy. Canada and the US share NORAD duties and fly joint missions on a regular basis. The F-35 fits smoothly into US systems through shared data links, logistics, weapons, and tactics. A mixed fleet or a shift to a mainly non-US aircraft would bring a transition period. Data sharing, secure software access, and joint procedures would need rebuilding. That matters when response time is short and training is built around specific systems. These costs are easy to downplay in politics because they are technical and not always visible. They appear in certification delays, software approvals, and the work needed to align sensitive systems across borders. Geopolitics enters the discussion faster than many people expect. Recent strain between Ottawa and Washington has made diversification sound appealing. Buying from European suppliers can be presented as a safety move. If access to US software or weapons ever became restricted for political reasons, another supply line would limit dependence on one source. On paper, that logic holds. In practice, it comes with costs. New supply chains take years to build, and only work if governments show consistency. If Canada signals that it might split orders or reverse direction quickly, foreign firms may hesitate to invest in factories, tools, and staff. Industry needs stability. Promises of jobs only matter if policy can support those jobs over time. Scale is another constraint. A fleet of 88 jets is large for Canada, but small next to US purchases or combined NATO orders. That puts Canada in a familiar position, too small to drive terms alone. This is why offers like local assembly, production sharing, and supplier deals are so attractive. They suggest a one-time buy could support a lasting industry. But offers are not guarantees. The purchase agreements and industrial packages need firm language, timelines, audits, and consequences if targets are missed. Governments want planning and accountability. Companies want to protect core technology and profits. That push and pull sits at the heart of many defence purchases. Operational reality cannot be ignored. The best aircraft means little if pilots lack training, maintenance queues grow, or spare parts arrive late. A mixed fleet that adds Gripen to a force already shifting to F-35s would require parallel pilot training, separate maintenance systems, and storage for different weapons. That adds cost and complexity. Staying with only the F-35 avoids that split, but without strong domestic work it could leave Canadian aerospace firms smaller, with fewer skilled roles and a thinner supplier network. One path favours simplicity in operations. The other favours broader industrial activity. Neither is free. Politics and people shape the outcome as much as aircraft specs. Members of Parliament hear directly from regions that want factories and contracts. Ministers can point to plant openings and tax revenue as visible wins. Military leaders focus on mission readiness and capability. Industry wants steady work and access to global programs. Taxpayers want value. Each view is reasonable. The challenge for Ottawa is turning those competing aims into a plan that can hold through elections, shifting alliances, and changing threats. No option satisfies everyone. The goal is a choice that can be defended and paid for. A hybrid fleet often enters the conversation. Several European countries manage mixed aircraft types and accept the burden. A split fleet can add flexibility. One jet focuses on stealth and high-risk missions. Another handles patrol and daily sovereignty tasks at lower cost. But this approach increases overhead. Training, maintenance, software, and parts all double. With limited budgets, there is a risk that neither fleet receives enough funding for upgrades, leaving both weaker over time. Fewer F-35s paired with Gripens might support domestic work, but it could reduce the number of jets suited for the most demanding missions. Any government choosing this route must commit to funding and managing the complexity over decades. Canada's procurement rules matter just as much as the aircraft choice. Contracts and industrial benefit clauses must aim for long-term value. Local assembly should be paired with sustained maintenance work, supplier development, and workforce training. Details decide outcomes. Clauses on sustainment, technology access, training, and phased investment determine whether factories stay open. Politicians can announce jobs. Companies commit only when demand and legal terms are clear. A short burst of political credit from a factory opening can quickly turn sour if promised work fades and the doors close a few years later. If you found this breakdown useful, drop a like so more people can see it. Share your thoughts in the comments, especially if you had a different take on the decision. And if you want more clear explainers like this, make sure to subscribe.